could this be the single most crucial contract signing that quietly determines whether the Edmonton Oilers transform from playoff contenders into legitimate Stanley Cup champions? Or are we watching a franchise make the kind of smart, under-the-radar move that separates dynasties from disappointments? While the hockey world obsesses over superstar extensions and blockbuster trades that dominate headlines, something far more significant might be unfolding in Edmonton's front office, the kind of foundational move that championship teams make when nobody's looking. Jake Walman's impending long-term deal represents more than just roster stability. It could be the domino that triggers a cascade of decisions reshaping the Oilers' championship timeline for the next half-decade. This isn't your typical contract negotiation between a team and a solid role player. We're talking about locking up a defenseman who has quietly become integral to Edmonton's system, whose presence on the blue line provides the kind of reliability that allows superstars to focus on what they do best, creating magic rather than covering for defensive lapses that can sink championship aspirations. The whispers circulating around Sports 1440 and industry insiders suggest something much bigger than a simple extension. Jason Greger's indication that a 6-year deal is materializing tells us that both sides see this relationship as foundational rather than transactional, the kind of mutual commitment that signals serious championship intent from an organization that has learned from past mistakes. Frank Saravalli's reporting adds layers of intrigue that extend far beyond Walman's individual situation. His assertion that the next 2 weeks will prove incredibly significant for Oilers extensions suggests a coordinated strategy where Walman's signing serves as the first piece in a complex puzzle that could determine Edmonton's competitive trajectory through the remainder of this decade. The most fascinating aspect involves the connection between Walman's extension and Connor McDavid's future decisions. Sources indicate that McDavid views Walman as a crucial component of Edmonton's championship infrastructure, suggesting that the captain's own extension discussions might hinge partly on seeing key supporting pieces secured long-term. This creates a fascinating chicken-and-egg scenario where Walman's deal could accelerate McDavid's commitment, which would then create the stability needed to attract additional talent and build the kind of sustained excellence that transforms good teams into great ones. Sometimes the most important signings aren't the ones generating the biggest headlines. The financial projections hovering around 5 years at $6.5 million or 6 years at $6 million reveal Edmonton's willingness to invest significantly in defensive stability. Either figure would make Walman the third highest-paid defenseman on the roster behind Evan Bouchard and Darnell Nurse, a salary structure that reflects his importance to their system rather than just his individual statistics. What makes this potential extension brilliant isn't just the player being retained, but the timing and context surrounding the decision. Edmonton has learned from previous mistakes where they allowed valuable role players to walk away, only to discover how difficult and expensive it becomes to replace their specific contributions during crucial moments. Walman's brief tenure with the Oilers has already demonstrated his value to the organization's defensive structure. His ability to move the puck efficiently, provide steady presence in his own zone, and contribute meaningfully to Edmonton's transition game makes him exactly the type of player that championship teams prioritize retaining rather than replacing. The 6-year timeline suggests both sides recognize this as more than a short-term arrangement. For Walman, it represents security and the opportunity to be part of something special during Edmonton's championship window. For the Oilers, it provides the kind of cost certainty and roster stability that allows for strategic planning around their core players. Tying Walman's salary to Mattias Ekholm's current deal creates interesting roster construction possibilities. At 35, Ekholm likely commands less money and term in his next contract, potentially creating additional salary cap flexibility that could be redirected toward other roster needs or used to retain additional core pieces. Jason Greger's insight about the extension sequence, Walman first, then Ekholm, then Brett Kulak, reveals Edmonton's methodical approach to roster construction. Rather than allowing uncertainty to linger around multiple players simultaneously, they're addressing each situation systematically to create the stability needed for championship pursuit. This approach prevents the kind of roster uncertainty that can undermine team chemistry and create distraction during crucial periods of the season. When players know their futures are secure, they can focus entirely on performance rather than contract negotiations or potential trades that might disrupt their preparation and commitment. Walman's own comments about loving his time with the Oilers and seeing the opportunity as beneficial for his career trajectory suggest a player who has found the right organizational fit. These mutual feelings of satisfaction often translate into contract negotiations that benefit both sides rather than becoming adversarial battles over every detail. The fact that he specifically mentions playing with this group indicates his appreciation for the talent surrounding him and the championship potential he recognizes within Edmonton's roster. Sometimes the best signings happen when players want to be part of something bigger than individual success. Locking up Walman at reasonable term and salary creates several strategic advantages that extend beyond his individual contributions. First, it provides the defensive depth needed to weather injuries and maintain system consistency throughout the grueling regular season and playoff grind that championship teams must navigate successfully. Second, it allows Edmonton to avoid the uncertainty of losing a valuable contributor to free agency, where replacement costs often exceed retention expenses by significant margins. The free agent market for reliable defensemen consistently proves expensive and unpredictable, making retention the smarter financial strategy. Third, securing Walman's services removes one variable from future roster construction decisions, allowing management to focus resources and attention on other positions that might require upgrades or additions. Championship teams need certainty in as many roster spots as possible to maximize their ability to address remaining weaknesses. The salary figures being discussed position Walman as a significant but not overwhelming cap commitment, leaving room for the flexibility needed to make additional moves when opportunities arise. Smart organizations balance commitment with adaptability, ensuring they can respond to unexpected circumstances without being hamstrung by inflexible contracts. While casual fans focus on superstar performances and highlight real moments, championship teams are built on the foundation of reliable contributors who excel in roles that don't always generate statistics or recognition. Walman represents exactly this type of player, steady, dependable, and crucial to team success in ways that extend beyond individual measurements. His ability to complement Edmonton's offensive stars by providing the kind of defensive stability that allows them to take calculated risks creates value that multiplies throughout the lineup. When defensemen can move the puck efficiently and defend responsibly, it enables forwards to focus on creating offense rather than constantly covering for defensive mistakes. The 6-year commitment also signals Edmonton's confidence in Walman's ability to maintain his performance level throughout the prime years of their championship window. At his age, he should remain productive through the duration of the contract while providing leadership and consistency for younger players developing within their system. This extension represents the kind of smart, foundational move that separates organizations with sustained success from those that experience brief moments of excellence surrounded by longer periods of disappointment. Championship cultures are built through decisions that prioritize team success over individual recognition or flashy acquisitions. Edmonton's systematic approach to extensions reveals an organization that has learned from past mistakes and developed a clear vision for sustained excellence. Rather than making reactionary decisions based on short-term pressures, they're constructing a roster foundation designed to compete at the highest level for multiple seasons. The connection between Walman's extension and broader organizational goals suggests this signing represents one piece of a larger puzzle that includes McDavid's future, additional extensions for other core players, and strategic additions that could push them over the championship threshold. Sometimes the most important moves are the ones that create stability rather than generating excitement, and Walman's extension appears to fall squarely into that category. While it might not dominate social media discussions or drive massive television ratings, it could prove instrumental in Edmonton's championship pursuit over the coming seasons. The fact that negotiations are progressing smoothly and both sides appear motivated to complete the deal suggests mutual recognition of the value this relationship provides. These types of harmonious extensions often produce the best results for all parties involved. As Edmonton inches closer to finalizing Wallman's long-term deal, they're demonstrating the kind of strategic patience and systematic approach that championship organizations employ when constructing sustainable winners. This isn't about making headlines, it's about making smart decisions that compound over time to create competitive advantages. The ripple effects of this extension, from potentially accelerating McDavid's commitment to providing defensive stability to creating salary cap predictability, illustrate how individual signings can impact entire organizational trajectories when executed thoughtfully and strategically. Whether this proves to be the foundational move that helps deliver Edmonton's first Stanley Cup since 1990 remains to be seen, but the approach and reasoning behind it suggest an organization that understands what it takes to build and maintain championship-caliber teams in the modern NHL. Do you see Wallman's extension as the smart foundational move that championship teams make? Or does 6 years feel like too much commitment for a player who's still proving himself in Edmonton's system? And more intriguingly, could this signing really be the catalyst that convinces McDavid to commit long-term and transforms the Oilers into a legitimate dynasty threat? Share your thoughts on whether this under-the-radar move represents championship-winning strategy, or if you think Edmonton should be more cautious about long-term commitments. We're fascinated to hear your take on how these seemingly quiet signings can actually reshape entire franchises.